Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And I think I watched the best movie and the worst movie of the year in the same week. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Tuesday afternoon. And yeah, it's a big day, it's election day. Having our election that we have every 4 years for president and of course other offices as well, but the big one is the big presidential election. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty interesting day, but I'm coming with you with a video talking about what I've been watching lately. So definitely had a couple things, some new stuff that I wasn't planning on watching, but I just saw it and it's like, I'll try it out. Some things that I just been meaning to watch but haven't gotten around to. And yeah, mostly bad stuff. One really great movie though. But so yeah, we're gonna start with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I finally got around to watching this one. It's funny, I remember when it came out, I had no interest in it because I hadn't even seen the other Ghostbusters movie that came out a couple years ago. The kind of this new franchise they're trying to start with, but they're connecting it with the old franchise. With Paul Rudd and like what's his name? Wolfhard is in it, all this stuff. And then it has also Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray get to be in it as well. Yeah, and so I remember when I was going to watch this, I thought, well, I guess I should watch the other one because I probably won't understand what's going on in this movie. So I remember I finally got around to watching that first one, didn't care for it mostly. There's some nostalgia, cool nostalgia stuff to it, but mostly didn't care for it. And so I've been kind of dreading trying to watch this one, but I finally was like, I need to watch this. I don't know why, but I feel like, it's kind of a big movie that came out. I don't know if it was that big, but I remember it coming out. It was one of the premium movies of that week. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. So finally I got around to checking it, and kind of like the other one, man, just did not care about it at all. And I'm not a big Ghostbusters fan, really. I got the first movie on DVD. There's some fun to it, and a lot of that is because of Bill Murray, I think, is really funny in the movie. And so this one, it's kind of like the other one. We get some nostalgia a little bit with the older actors, Dan Aykroyd. I forget the other actor's name now. Winston, I think, is the name of the character. And then Bill Murray is also in this as well, though Dan Aykroyd really gets a major chunk of the movie. He's pretty much one of the co-leads, it seems like, in the movie. Then we get the family from the last movie, of course, is in it as well. Trying to fight ghosts. And yeah, I was mostly just really bored with the plot of this one. Didn't really care all that much. And a lot of plot had to deal with the family dynamic, I think, which I don't know, I didn't care that much for. As far as ghost busting, I feel like there wasn't that much till towards the end when we finally, there's this villain that they keep, you keep waiting for because it's called Frozen Empire. And it's not until the very end that the main villain ghost thing comes up, starts freezing things, and then we have to fight it. But yeah, there's like the girl there's this teenage girl, and the whole plot seems to be around, she's too young to be a Ghostbuster. She can't be a Ghostbuster, and she feels left out and all this stuff, and it's like, who cares, Wolfhard, that actor, his whole thing is he finds the green ghost, eating stuff in the attic, and he's trying to fight that, I think, yeah, anyway, so some of that stuff I didn't care for. I like Kumail Nanjiani. I always like when he always helps a movie, elevates it, I think. So it's an okay role for him. It was interesting, the character arc of it, and the whole, I don't want to get into it. I guess it's too much spoilers, but it's a little too convenient when he does what he does at the end. It's like, oh, really? Now he knows how to do that. Like I said, not a lot of laughs here. Not that interesting of a plot, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just don't care about this Ghostbusters series. So to me, it's like a 2 out of 5, 2-star movie for me. Didn't care for it. So as Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah, I got to finally watching Axel AF, which is part of the Beverly Hills Cops series. It's the new one that came out on Netflix. I think it was Netflix. Came just only on Netflix, maybe. That's why I saw it. Of course, Eddie Murphy reprising his role. The truth is, I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop 1 or 2. I think there's 2 of them. I've never seen them. I don't know, never had that much interest. I'm not that big of an Eddie Murphy fan, to be honest. I always thought he was a little bit overrated. Like, I didn't think he was that funny of an actor. And he's done some good work, like, I forget the name. He did this one musical that I thought he was actually really great and should have probably won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. So it's like he does have some talent there. I think he can do that. You know, and he has some comedy chops, of course. He's got his own kind of thing. I never thought he was a funny stand-up. Anyways, I'm not the biggest Eddie Murphy guy, but I don't know. This was, of course, if it's on Netflix, I'm like, I'll catch it. So I was like, I'll see what it's all about. You know, the movie wasn't terrible. It was okay. I think Eddie Murphy actually does a good job here, even now he's getting older. The character actually was still pretty funny, I think. And he's just this fast-talking guy who he's able to fast-talk people and kind of manipulate people into situations, I think. I think he does a good job in some of those scenes. And yeah, and it ties into, I guess, the other movies, because some other characters are popping up that I'm guessing were major characters in the other movies. And he's like looking for this one character, and of course they're in in Los Angeles, I guess, Beverly Hills. They're in California or whatever, and his last name's Axel. I guess that's the name of the character. And yeah, the whole mystery, and there's crooked cops like that. It was an okay plot overall. The action was okay, fairly well paced movie. Still not something I would say you'd have to see. Not something I would watch again necessarily. Yeah, it was kind of some laughs, not enough laughs, some action, not enough action. And I'm gonna say Joseph Gordon-Levitt is really not doing a very good job lately. I feel like I used to be a big fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like, I think when he was younger, he was doing some really great work. Now he's getting, I say, a little bit older. He's still, it's hard to tell. It seems like now every time I see him, he has a beard on. So I don't know if he's trying to look older, because he does have kind of a young face. But I've been seeing him in these kind of just minimal roles. Like here, he's just another supporting role here as a cop. It's helping out Axel, and I mean, he's not bad, but it's just like, oh man, like, okay, like I want to see better stuff out of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And there's another movie I'm going to talk about actually on the list I thought he was actually terrible in. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, I wish I could get more better stuff. I feel like he hadn't done that great job lately. But yeah, overall, I'd give like 2.5 stars. I couldn't recommend necessarily, but I would say it wasn't the worst thing either. Overall. Yeah, so not a lot to say there, but did catch that. All right. Also, Netflix, I finally caught this movie that just came out. I thought it looked kind of interesting. It's called The Woman of the Hour. And if you haven't heard it, it's based on a true story, kind of loosely based on a true story of something I never heard of, which I thought was kind of actually crazy that this actually exists. But on the dating game show back in the 70s, I want to say, there's a moment where this woman named Cheryl gets on the dating game, and the whole thing is there's 3 guys, you ask them questions, and they give you sexual innuendo answers, and that's supposed to be the comedy of it. And this one case, one of the bachelors was a serial killer, I think named Rodney, I forget now, Rodney Alcava or something like that. And I never heard of this guy before. I didn't know the serial killer, but he was a horrible serial killer, I guess in California area maybe. And he murdered tons of women. They think he murdered maybe 130 women, which is absolutely insane. That's a lot of women. I guess they can't prove that he killed them all. That's what they think. They've proven that he killed 8 of them, though, and that's where he went to jail for the rest of his life, finally. But it took a while for them to catch him. But he would lure women, he he'd have a pretend to. He said that he would say he's a photographer, and he would take women out into like nowhere and to photograph them and then just murder them, or sometimes even murder them in their own home. You know, but he was kind of charming. He was kind of a decent looking guy, charming. You know, flatter the women and then get them alone and then murder them. Anyways, it's horrible, horrible stuff that I didn't know existed. And the guy ended up being on the dating game show, which is just absolutely insane. That it's like, what are the chances that you're on the dating game show and one of the guys is a serial killer? Not only that, but he's the guy that you pick as the best bachelor out of the three. It's the serial killer. It's just an insane idea. I think the idea is just more interesting than the actual movie. The actual movie itself, I didn't think was that great. I was a little disappointed with it because I thought the premise was so good. Interesting enough, this was a directorial debut by Anna Kendrick, who also stars in the movie. From what it sounds like, from when I did the research, is that Anna Kendrick was just going to star in the movie, but then the director, I think, who's directing it, bowed out or something like that, and so they needed a new director. And Anna Kendrick was so invested in the movie, I guess, so it came across like, well, maybe you should direct it. And so she's like, yeah, okay, I'll direct it. And so, I mean, her direction, I would say, yeah, it wasn't like the greatest, it wasn't the worst, but I think the worst part of this movie is just that it just felt very inaccurate to the story. And we see Rodney, the serial killer, kill a couple women. So actually, he's the main character. I thought Cheryl, the Anna Kendrick's character, she's kind of the main character, but Rodney has more scenes, probably. The actor who played Rodney, he does a real good job. I will say the performance was really good. Like, and Anna Kendrick's great. Like, she's good about anything I see her. I really like Anna Kendrick. She's a really good actress. The guy who played Rodney did a really good job as this serial killer that's charming but then menacing. I thought he did a good job as well. Anyway, so I would say performance pretty good. And there's some interesting like other like Tony Hell's in here. He has a small part. This other comedic actor is in there as well for a small part. But so there's actually some pretty good small parts as well in this movie. Pretty well casted overall. I will say though, the movie though, definitely you watch it as a guy, I watch it and I was like, every guy is like a sleazeball in the movie or an idiot. It's like mostly sleazeball. So the movie wants to paint this picture that all guys are like these sleazeballs. And I guess as a guy, I hate that. I hate when a movie does that, where they want to paint all of us guys as these, yeah, like I said, I don't know what other word to say, sleazeball, you know, womanizer, you know, only out for, you know, sex and, you know, and we only sexually objectify women, you know, so I hate that it makes that so obvious and that we're, you know, yeah, just not good people. I don't know. And so, I mean, obviously the serial killer is a terrible person. That's fine. You know, that's the point of the movie is that we're going to, you know, show this horrible person event that happened or around this time. But then they purposely show like every single other guy, which they weren't though. In real life, for instance, the other two bachelors that in the movie, there's the Rodney, the serial killer. There's other bachelor guy who's like just overly like sexually womanizing kind of guy, you know, macho, just a real, you know, unlikable character. They made him so unlikable. And then the other guy was just a total idiot. And that was the other two bachelors. So they lost to the serial killer. That wasn't true though because you can watch the actual dating game and the guy is called the dating game like killer, I think is the kind of name they gave him. And so you can watch on YouTube the actual what happened, the episode of Dating Game where this serial killer was on. And it didn't happen the way that they show in the movie, which is like, okay, I understand you don't have to be perfectly to real life, but it just felt like the way they did in the movie was very purposely done to be anti-man. I guess I came away going, man, this is a very anti-man movie. Like men are terrible. I don't care for that personally because I'm a man. I don't think I'm terrible. And a lot of men I know aren't terrible. But anyways, so yeah, so the way they painted the whole dating game thing didn't happen the way. And Cheryl in this movie was like this ultimate feminist person, which I don't think she was in real life necessarily. The questions she asked in real life weren't the ones that they asked in the movie. They purposely asked questions in the movie to be more like this, you know, liberal feminist, I feel like. And I don't know, just when I was watching, I was like, I doubt this happened in real life. And it didn't. I was like, this just seems so unlikely. anyways, so, and then, yeah, and there's just all these other stuff that happen. Anyways, and like, in real life, the real person, Cheryl, wasn't a actress or wasn't trying to be an actress. But in the movie, they paint her as this person who's trying to be an actress and going on auditions. And the men that are the men that she's auditioning for the role are all, you know, these horny sleazeball, you know, men that only care about her looks. Yeah, again, just painting men terribly. But that didn't happen in real life. She wasn't a aspiring actress. That's what I'm trying to say. She wasn't an aspiring actress like she was in this movie. So that was all made up. And then there's the climax scene is that she picks this guy who she doesn't know, of course, ends up being a serial killer. And they go on like one date, and then she gets some creepy vibes from him, and she's going to her car and he's following her, but I guess in real life she doesn't get killed. So I'm not trying to spoil anything, but she doesn't get killed by him anyway. So she ends up getting away. And that's kind of the whole climatic part of the movie, I guess. Sometimes, of course, in real life, she never went on a date with the guy. I guess she had one conversation with him after the game show, and she kind of got creepy vibes from him. So there never was a date, which is fine because that dating part obviously was a more interesting ending to the movie than real life. Though I feel like they're trying to make more of an interesting, dramatic than it was in real life, which it could have been in real life. It could have been very, thrilling type story. And we do finally see him get caught, and we hear the story about, how he killed all these women and how he kept getting away from the cops, which is the biggest thing to take away is how bad our justice system is and how we let this guy go. We catch him and then we let him go on technicalities and he's on parole and all that. Anyways, it's a very interesting story if you want to read up on it. I think more interesting than this movie. So overall, I give this movie 2 stars. Again, interesting premise, good performances, but I just felt like it was purposely redone just to be anti-man. That's my feelings on it. So that is Woman of the Hour. And that might be controversial. Maybe you're like, I know some people probably think I'm wrong on that, but that was just my feeling watching it. All right, another movie I caught that I thought was absolutely horrible, and I don't know why. There's no reason why I watched it. I just saw it and I was like, oh, okay, this looks interesting. It was called Greedy People, which I believe was on actually, I don't know what it was on. I can't remember. It was on some streaming, I believe, and never heard of it, but I don't know why. It looked interesting. I just saw a picture at Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the other guy. He was the lead in the movie Yesterday. I think his name's Hamlish or something like that. He's an English actor, Indian descent, but he's from England. And you see the picture, it's 2 of them as cops, and it's supposed to be like this. It looked like a comedy murder mystery movie, so I was like, oh, this looks like an interesting premise. And it had a pretty good cast overall. I mean, Jim Gaffigan's also in here. And there's some other actors that I'm forgetting their names, but overall, pretty good cast and everything. And so I checked it out, and I was like, oh, maybe this would be interesting. Horrible movie, one of the worst movies I've seen of the year. It starts off as this very silly comedy of this guy who him and his wife, him and his pregnant wife, and I'm forgetting his wife. The lady plays wife is also pretty good. I think it was like Lily James or something like that was the wife. She was good as well, but he's a cop anyways, and so they moved to this small Rhode Island city, whatever town, and he's starting his first day as the cop there. And he's getting shown around by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's over the top, just a really horrible performance, this whole over the top character who's a huge jerk of a character, and he has this crazy accent. And what's funny about Hamlish, I think his name's Hamlish, he's from England. He's naturally an English accent, but he has but he's supposed to be from the South, I guess. So he has this overly done Southern accent, which I'm like, okay, I know he's not a Southerner. So, I mean, he does, it's fine. He's an actor. He can, actors have to do different accents, whatever. But it just felt weird. I'm like, I know that's not his accent. But anyways, but yeah, I guess he shows them around this town, and I won't give anything too much away except that a murder happens, and they all get involved in it. And money, there's also some money that's involved. And so there's a lot of corruption, a lot of police corruption, lots of backstabbing and all this stuff. And so it goes from, it's very silly comedy at first. There's a lot of silly stuff that happens. You're like, okay, Like, I know they're trying to be funny, but it's a little over the top. And then it goes into this almost serious crime mystery kind of drama thing where a lot of, and this, I guess I hate to spoil this, but I'll just say a lot of the main characters that you kind of like and you want to, and you kind of are watching get killed during the movie. I mean, just all of a sudden, and it's shocking because they're like, oh, I thought that was the main character and now he's dead. Like, I didn't see that coming. So it was very weird. The twists and turns to me were just awful and weird, and like I didn't help the story at all. And the ending I thought was overall pretty terrible, not satisfactory. Yeah, so to me, don't watch Greedy People. Like I said, you probably never heard of it. I never heard of it. I just caught it, and it's like, yeah, I'll check it out, but I regretted it. Which I feel like I never learned my lesson. I always see something, I never heard of it, I go, oh, maybe it's good. And then I watch it and I go, oh, it's terrible. I kind of have to come around and tell myself, if I never heard of it, there's probably a reason why I never heard of it, because it's probably terrible. If it was good, I probably heard of it. All right, another movie I caught. This is, I think this is Amazon Prime movie that came out just recently. Just came out a couple weeks ago, I think. And it's called Brothers. And this stars Peter Dinklage and I'm not going to remember the other guy's name. The guy who plays Thanos. I'll just say that. Hopefully you know who I'm talking about. He was a good actor as well. But yeah, and he was in Deadpool 2 and really good actor as well. And Peter Dinklage, I'm such a big fan of Peter Dinklage. So in fact, I saw him in an interview and he was promoting this movie. And that's why I watched it. Because I was like, oh, it's like, I don't know. Ever since Game of Thrones, anytime Peter Dinklage is in something, I'm going to watch it. Because I think Peter Dinklage is just awesome. He's just a great actor. Both comedy and drama and all that. Even though outside of Game of Thrones, he hasn't done really that well, except for Cyrano, I thought was really good. He should have gotten an Oscar nomination for it. But anyways, I saw him promoting this, so I was like, oh, I'll check this out. Like, it's two really good actors. Also, Brendan Fraser is in it. I mean, Oscar-winning actor as well. So yeah, so I thought, okay, yeah. Overall, it's about two brothers who are, oh, who's their mother? It was like Glenn Close, I think, played their mother too. So another good actress in the movie. But it's like these two brothers whose mom is a criminal, like a lifelong criminal kind of thing, that runs away from the cops and they don't see her, I think, until later. And so they start being criminals themselves. They're twin brothers. And so it kind of starts with them going in and out of jail because they're being criminals. And the other brother, not Peter Dinklage, but the other guy, is trying to go legit, but he's having trouble. While Peter Dinklage, while he's in prison, Brendan Fraser is like the security guard or whatever that's watching over him, and then his dad is like also like a corrupt judge. So he makes a deal with Peter Dinklage that to get him out of jail, that then he'll have to go on like this heist or something. So they go on this heist, and so he tries to get his brother, who's trying to go legit, to help him out with this heist. Basically, the whole movie. Anyways, it's supposed to be funny, but I didn't think it was all that funny. The overall plot, I don't know, wasn't that interesting. It kind of had a lot of twists and turns, but I didn't care for any of them. And yeah, I don't know, they're just unlikable characters. Peter Dinklage especially was a very unlikable character. And there's, like I said, there's just almost too many twists and turns where it's like, oh, I'm backstabbing you. No, I'm not backstabbing you. I was just joking. I was actually backstabbing this person, but we were in on the backstab. I don't know. There's all these like twists that you're like, really? Like, okay, there's like almost too many. And I'm starting to not trust anybody because I'm like, are they being real or are they going to backstab this person? You just can never tell. And so it becomes a very, messy narrative overall. But anyways, yeah, so that's another movie I was pretty disappointed with. Brendan Fraser, man, I haven't seen The Whale yet. I keep telling myself I need to see that. But this definitely was not a great Brendan Fraser performance. I'm like, and I know in The Whale, he played a very overweight individual. And I know a lot of that I thought was like a bodysuit and all that. But I mean, he is very overweight in this role. I was almost kind of shocked when I saw him. So I was like, wow, he was still like, I don't know if he gained all that weight for that role for The Whale and he just never lost it. But I was kind of surprised. Like, surely he's going to, in fact, I thought I saw him in a movie and he wasn't that overweight, but I don't know why, but I was like a little surprised, like, wow. Because I remember Brendan Fraser when he was in the Mummy movies. And he was a very in-shape guy. I mean, he's a very handsome, heroic guy. Of course, now he's older, but it's like, I don't know. That was weird to see him like really? Like, is this a choice for the character? I don't think he's a security guard. I don't think he needs to be overweight to be a security guard. So it's like Brendan Fraser, you just let yourself go, I guess. And I've never gotten back to to normal shape, which is odd for an actor usually, because actors and actresses are usually in really good shape. But anyways, overall, Brothers, another movie I'd give like a 1 star to. It was very underwhelming. All right, another movie I thought was really horrible, and I don't know why I watched it. It's another movie I'm like, sometimes I'm looking for a movie and I'm like, I just want something that doesn't have to be overly dramatic or epic. I just want to watch a funny movie or an action movie, you know, whatever. So I came across Hellboy, the Crooked Man, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. Hellboy, as far as Hellboy goes, like I love the second Hellboy movie. I have that on Blu-ray. It's a great action movie. Ron Perlman playing Hellboy. Hellboy is such a great character. That's why I watch it, because I love Hellboy as a character. Even the first Hellboy movie, I'm not a huge fan of the first movie, but Hellboy, the character, is so good as well. I love Ron Perlman's performance as, you know, this demon guy who's very funny, he's very brave. He's not afraid of anything, and he goes across these, you know, horrible monsters and demons, you know. And also of course, Guillermo del Toro, who did the 2 Hellboy movies, his vision is very interesting. Like the costuming, the special effects is less CGI. There's some CGI, but there's a lot of practical effects there. So, but his costuming, set designs are just amazing, especially in those first 2. I mean, those first 2 Hellboy movies with Guillermo del Toro as the director, I think are very well done. Like I said, the second movie's great. I haven't seen the one with David Harbour. I never caught that one because I got really bad reviews. And this one got bad reviews too, but I don't know, I just came across it and I was like, what the heck, I'll watch it. And the actor who plays Hellboy is horrible. Like, and I know someone will say, well, this is more comic accurate. Like the Ron Perlman Hellboy wasn't comic accurate, which I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know anything about the comics, but I'm like, I don't care. I thought Hellboy was great when Ron Perlman played him. Horrible when this other guy played him, because it had no charisma. Just was an uninteresting character. Like, to me, he took the best part of Hellboy. The character Hellboy is such a fun character. And this character was just, this actor who played Hellboy, or the way he's written, the way he was performed, was just an uninteresting character. The movie, like I said, this is definitely going on like my top 10 worst movies list. It was just a really boring movie. It all took place in this like one area. They're in like these woods, this backwoods and there's this guy called the Crooked Man who works for the Satan, who's collecting souls for Satan. And so he has to fight this guy. Action-wise, there's really not a lot of action. There's like kind of an action scene towards the end, and there's witches and demons that he has to fight, but not a lot until towards the end. And even then, I don't know. And it was hard to follow at times. I'm like, and I was just bored to tears. It was just a really boring, uninteresting movie. Anyway, so it's another, I'd give it like a 0.5 star. It's like one of the worst movies I've seen. Very uninteresting. Sad to see where Hellboy is gone. I wish they can do another good Hellboy movie, but we'll see. All right, I'm trying to get 2 more reviews done in this review. I know I'm going kind of long now, but I want to get to the worst movie and the best movie I've seen so far this year. The worst movie, I already talked about some worst bad movies, but this movie takes the cake, and that is Madam Web. And I knew this was bad, and I watched it because I knew it was bad. I wanted to see how bad it was because I kept hearing how bad this movie was. I was like, I really want to see how bad this movie is. And they were not kidding. This movie is so bad. Everything is bad. Like, the acting is so bad. The performances overall, and the dialogue is so terrible. It's paced horribly. Action, there's hardly any action in it. So it's just a very uninteresting story that was done. So the directing, the editing, everything was just horrible in this movie. And there's so many things to talk about. And the main character, all the actresses in it did a terrible job, especially that main actress. Now, I'm going to forget her name now, but she was in the 50 Shades of Grey, I know, movies. And so she doesn't exactly have a good track record of being a good actress, but yeah, she was really bad as the lead in this. And I don't know if it's her to blame or it's just bad director, bad writing. It could be that too. I think that hurts the movie as well. Like, Adam Scott's in here, and Adam Scott's okay as far as, like, he maybe was the best performance out of it. The guy who played the villain was, oh, god-awful. It was the worst villain I've ever seen. And the worst part, and people said this, and it's so true, the voice didn't sound like his voice. It was obviously like ADR'd in, for the actor, and it just sounded really weird. Like, I don't know, he had like this very weird low voice that every time he talked, I'm like, I don't think that's his voice. Like, it was so distracting every time the villain would talk and whatever. It was like, what a weird voice to come out of this guy's. I don't know how to explain it, but it just didn't fit. His voice didn't fit the guy or something. So I'm like, who's doing the voice of this? And it just didn't fit. Like when he talked, like the ADR just didn't match up or something. I don't know. It was so horrible. Like it was that villain. Sorry, the actor was, man, that was a terrible performance. And a lot of that was because of the voice. It was so horrible in it, really bad. But the movie, like I said, so badly paced. Like there's this, and I say a couple scenes that are just so bad. Like one scene, she gets all these girls because the whole plot of the movie is this, and this guy, he has a vision, and I don't know why. I don't know if he got bit by a spider, but it kind of ties in with Spider-Man, but there's no Spider-Man. But he has these visions that these three girls, these three Spider women girls, are going to kill him in the future. And it's these three like young women that he's never met before. So he wants to go out and find them and kill them before they get their powers, I guess, and they'll kill him. And I guess he has Spider-Man. He kind of has Spider-Man powers as well. And he has like a black Spider-Man suit and all that. And so he's going out. And so this lady, the main Madam Web character, her mother got bit by a spider when she was pregnant with her. And so now she has these powers where she can see kind of in the future, but not very far in the future, just a little bit in the future. And she can see that these three girls are going to get murdered. So she's such an unlikable character. Oh my God. She's like the worst kid. She's an EMT, and I would love to see an EMT, a paramedic. My wife's a paramedic. I would love to see a paramedic watch this movie, and I'm pretty sure this is very inaccurate how an EMT would act in situations, or because I remember, and I work in healthcare, so I know a little bit about how that stuff works. And like I remember they did her blood pressure, and her blood pressure was like really low, and they're like, you need to go to the hospital, like you got all this, and she's like, no, I'll be fine, and she doesn't go to the hospital, and I'm like, wow, I don't think that's how it would work, the whole it was so stupid. I just remember thinking it seems very inaccurate to what would happen in real life. No surprise there, but yeah, so she sees these girls, she saves them, though she doesn't really want to save them. She's like, I don't really care about you, but I see that you're going to die, so I decided to save you. I don't know, she's like so nonchalant, doesn't want to be a hero. It's purposely supposed to try to make her unlikable, so then she'd be likable at the end, but it was just like, wow, I do not like this character. I don't care about her at all, and she's my main hero of the movie. It just didn't work. Anyways, but there's a scene where she gets them all together and she saves them, I guess, and they're out in the forest, and she's trying to explain to them what happens. I can see the future, and I see that you're going to kill all this stuff. And this scene goes on way too long. I remember this is the biggest problem in the movie to me. It was like every scene went on too long. Like it's like, okay, here's a scene, we need to establish this, and then let's move on to the next scene, But I remember they were talking about, she's telling them this whole thing, and they're asking questions, and they keep talking, and I was watching going, should we move on to the next scene? We've gotten all the information we need out of this scene. Why are we still talking? Why are we still in this scene? And I felt that way throughout the whole movie, and and like I said, dialogue and directing was so bad, because I felt like someone would talk, and then there'd be like a pause, and then finally someone would go, oh, blah, 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 and then there'd be like a pause, and I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, you guys are pausing way too much in between conversation. Like, you need to snap it up a little bit. Let's, this is a movie, it's not real life, where you need to get dialogue out, you need to react, get this scene and then get to the next scene. And so I felt like it was terribly done. Also terribly, like I said, terribly edited. Every time she sees the future, like if something happens and you see the future, and I was so confused because the way they edited it, I was like, I thought it really happened. Then I realized, oh no, that was her seeing the future. And now it's happening. I don't know, the way they did it, there's a way you can do it where it makes sense, but whatever they did, I was totally lost sometimes, whether it was a future scene or it was a real scene. So editing, terrible. There's another scene where they're in a hotel room, like, again, all these girls are in the hotel room, and she decides to teach the other girls CPR because she's a paramedic, and she thinks they might need, I guess, no CPR. I can't remember why she came across it, but I'm going to teach you CPR. And they have a whole scene where she teaches them CPR. Who cares? Like, I don't care to see her teach these girls CPR. It's so stupid. It was so boring, and it lasted way too long, where I was like, oh my God, they're still on the scene about CPR. And that was the movie. Every scene was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Why are they spending so much time on this scene? And it was, yeah, all the horrible stuff that you heard about this movie, it is so true. It is, to me, the worst movie of the year, just because it's so incompetent as far as dialogue, directing, pacing. It's just the most incompetent movie I've seen of the year. One of the worst I've ever seen. So by far, Madame Web, half a star. Right now, I'm going to say it's the worst movie of the year. Be interesting if anything beats it out. We'll see. All right, I'm going to try to now talk about my favorite movie so far this year, and that is The Wild Robot, DreamWorks animation movie. And this is one where I remember coming out, I didn't hear anything about it. And I saw like one trailer, and there's no dialogue, so I still didn't know what the plot was. But the animation looked pretty cool, and it's DreamWorks, so I'm like, okay, it looks kind of interesting. It was getting pretty good reviews anyways, and some buzz. So I was like, oh, I need to watch it. So I didn't see it in theater, but I saw it like on video on demand. Man, it was such a good movie. I was blown away by how good this movie was. Again, animation, absolutely amazing. Like, I really love this animation style. The plot, the story was so great. This robot kind of crashes on this island where there's no human beings, there's just animals. And it's a robot supposed to help. The whole thing is it's a server robot that helps and has all these abilities to, supposed to help human beings. But now it's among these animals, so now it's learning to help these animals. And I love how, like, of course, the animals talk, but that's because the robot kind of analyzes the animals and programs a way to hear them speak. So they're speaking their own, animal languages, basically. But it comes as English because we're hearing them talk through the robot, which she understands everything because she analyzes all the animals. Now she can hear them like it's English. So it was such a cool way to go, okay, there's talking animals, but it's like they're not really talking English. It's just the robot has a way to, translate everything in English for the audience. So I thought that worked really well as a story. But the story was very funny. Like, I laughed a lot, had some emotional moments. And the robot is the main robot, Roz, is the name of the robot, played Lupita Nyong'o, who did an amazing job here. It's such a likable character. Oh my gosh, it was one of the best robot characters I've ever seen. Like, it's up there with WALL-E. I love WALL-E. He's one of my favorite robot characters. And there's probably some others I'm not thinking of, but probably some would say like the Iron Giant, maybe. Man, this was such a great character because all it wants to do is help people or help the animals. And it has a pretty good arc of, like, the animals are scared of this, they don't know what this is, this robot. Like, what is this coming into our environment? So they're scared of it. They kind of, make fun of it. But then they've learned to, of course, love the robot, and they become a family. It's all that kind of stuff. So, and I've heard some people say it's a little cheesy, but I don't mind it. I like the cheesiness of some of the moments, the emotional moments of the movie, I think really work for me. Especially the robot comes across an egg, and it hatches, and it thinks it's its mom, and so it tries to raise this goose or whatever because it has to migrate later, and so it's trying to teach it how to migrate, and that's a big storyline as well. There's this fox character who's great, played by Pedro Pascal, really good job, very funny character, really great side character. This is what I love about a good animation movie: great likable main character, really funny side characters. And I feel like that's missing a lot in animation movies today. And this nailed it. The Fox character was great, and even had a great character arc as well. Dialogue was amazing. Plot was great, very well paced. Like I said, it's just like the perfect kind of movie for me, personally, I would say. Yeah, and there's so much to talk about this movie, but I can't say enough. I highly recommend The Wild Robot. To me, the best movie I've seen so far this year. I'd give it, right now I'm giving like 4.5 stars, almost a 5-star movie, like a perfect movie for me. I'd have to watch it again, maybe get to a 5-star, but right now I'd say 4.5 stars. Definitely the best animation movie by far. To me, it's funny. Inside Out 2 is the big animation movie this year, but I think this movie is way better than Inside Out 2. I gave a review on Inside Out 2, and I gave that 2.5 stars. This is, 4.5. This is like 2 stars higher. I think this is so much, and I'm afraid Inside Out 2 is going to win the Oscar for Animation Movie of the Year. And this movie deserves the Oscar for animation movie. It, to me, is just miles better than Inside Act 2 or anything else I've seen this year as far as animation goes. So, man, DreamWorks is nailing it. Love that DreamWorks is still... Disney is doing horrible for the most part. In my opinion, DreamWorks is definitely nailing it this year. So, yeah. Definitely go check out The Wild Robot. And don't check out the other movies I've talked about, basically is what I'm saying. But anyways, those are the movies that I watched recently. Feel free to comment. What do you think? Have you seen these movies? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Appreciate those that do, like Ryan and, you know, Mike and Jacob and Adam. All you guys, I love that when you comment on these. Besides that, thank you for watching this. Thank you for liking it. And have a good election day.